What's happening? It's Contrast Uncut. It's season 3, episode 45. Man, big shout outs to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I appreciate you, brothers. It's your host, Xylo, aka DJ Juan Dollars, like I won some money. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a living legend, a very incredibly dope special guest. He's known worldwide for being a musician, songwriter, talent discoverer, and he's 11 times nominated, 3 times Grammy Award winning super producer. He sold over 300 million records worldwide. He was a part of the timeless and one of the most successful production duos, FunkTwons, and had discovered and worked on some of the biggest artists in the music industry and helped really develop that Atlantic music scene that is widely known for today. He's worked with some of the greatest acts of all time, from Michael Jackson to Destiny's Child to working with Beyonce to Nas, Monica, 112, Bobby Brown, Mary J. Blige, Babyface, just to name a few. And if you don't know who I'm talking about, it's all good. We got all episodes to get to know this brother. Bob Robinson, everybody. How you doing, brother?
What's up, sir? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. Good to be here. Good to be here, especially these days. Good to be here.
Come on.
Right.
It's an honor.
How are you?
I'm blessed. Everything is above water, and if it's not, I'm working trying to build it back up, and keeping a smile while I'm working.
Hey, there it is.
I got to let you know, brother, time is the most finite thing we have on this earth. And, I got to say, I appreciate your time from the beginning greatly for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, brother. Now, I got this quote, let me know how it relates to you, or if it doesn't, the idea is I want you to talk about it. All right, here we go. I will not lose, for even in defeat, there's a valuable lesson learned. So it's even up for me. Jay-Z.
Oh yeah, that totally resonates with me. Yeah, if you have the right mindset, there's essentially no such thing as loss. You live and you learn, and sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. There's always that opportunity to learn, but it's all, it comes down to your mindset and how you perceive things, which was important, for me starting off in my career, because it was a lot of tribulations to get to the front door, let alone walk in, and so but looking back on it, myself and my producing partner at the time, Tim Kelly, shout out to Tim. We had the same mindset, and we didn't even see, it was like, yeah, we were just going to go ahead and, because what happened was, we went to Atlanta because our dream was to meet Dallas Austin and hopefully get on his production team. This is in 1993. So we went to Atlanta with no money, like no money at all. Like we had like $100 each, if that. And so we faced those kind of odds, and even to get to that point, it's a whole other story. But having the right mindset is critical. So yeah, that quote.
Bob, I gotta ask you because you're going right into my next leadway question, and I'm talking about the music industry, the entertainment world. Did the game choose you, or did you choose the game?
You know what? Well, starting off as young as I started off in music, period. I started playing the organ for church when I was 8 years old. So I guess I can say it's the game probably chose me, and so. Yeah, it's, it becomes a lifestyle is what it is. And it's something that you don't see as work. You just see it as a part of your life, and like it's interwoven into all the different things that go into life. And so even if I'm not working on music, I know how to interpret so many things as music, because what all music equates to is essentially is math. It's just a bunch of equations. And so anyway, yeah, I would say the game chose me.
Now, you said playing the organ piano in church. How long did it take you to learn that and master that? Because, you know, one thing that I know for sure, the drummer and the pianist don't get a break.
That's true. It's funny because drums actually is my first instrument, but it was one of those things, man. You know, I guess my situation could be viewed as one of those things where, you know, you could call it a miracle, quote unquote. I just see it as channeling the same information just at a faster rate. But what I mean by that is, you know, one Sunday it was like all I wanted to do was play the drums, and then by the next Sunday I was playing the organ, and people was like, "Wait a minute!" And I was 8. I could barely get up on the organ, and so, but it all happened within a week's time. It was pretty crazy, and you know, I received the information super quickly and absorbed it very quickly. In layman's terms, that's the best way I can put it. But, you know, so within a week, I started playing for my church.
The most amazing thing about that is being 8 years old, going from drums to the piano within a week, and having little hands at the time, and
Yeah.
really making it, you know, impress everybody. I guarantee you, everybody was blown away, and you know, absolutely, the game chose you. And you know, it's amazing that, or I shouldn't say it's amazing, it's just destiny that you chose it at the same time to keep on pursuing.
Right, right, absolutely. And because I believe, you know, that's one thing I tell my kids all the time is I believe everything is a choice. And so, so yeah, it did get to a point where I started making conscious decisions and walking towards the direction of what I was trying to do with music and where I saw myself, you know, the possibilities. And so that at that point, it became a choice for me. And so, so yeah, so I feel very blessed and very grateful for the body of work that I've been a part of up until this very moment. And yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
I gotta ask you, what was your first, like, you know, big opportunity, or what you consider your first confirmation that, you know, music is what you're supposed to do? Because I guarantee there was a point where you're like, oh, I can go do this and try and do this, but you know, that moment of just, no, I have to continue. You made that choice to go to Atlanta with Tim, and you know, what was that, you know, the confirmation? Would it be when you got to Atlanta, or would it be something before then that was like, you know, that led to it?
It was definitely before then. It was when because when I was 19, I moved to Detroit. I got an amazing opportunity offered to me to play the organ at Aretha Franklin's father's church. And Aretha Franklin's father at the time, he was like the mega church pastor of the 60s and 70s. And so, yeah, C.L. Franklin. So I had the honor of playing at that church for 3 years. And so, but while I was playing there, that's when I realized, you know, producing is still what I had wanted to do. And so, yeah, I would say while I was living in Detroit, you know, at 19, between 19 and 22. And then that's leading into when we went down to Atlanta. So, yeah, I would say around that time.
So I got to get into, you know, the highs and lows that you, of course, that you're willing to discuss. What would you consider some of the highs and lows during your journey so far to today?
Um, well, as far as the highs, it's like obviously hearing your material on the radio and seeing how it affects people. You know, if I walk into a restaurant, you know, and I see someone, or there's a song that I did playing, and I might see someone singing along to it, and I feel gratitude for that because I'll think back to that moment when we were working on that record or whatever, or what led to writing the concept of that, you know, and so yeah, I would definitely say those moments, you know, are priceless. And so as far as the lows, you know, it's because it's like any other business, you know, there's the business side, and sometimes that can get in the way of the creative. There's been times where we've dedicated ourselves to doing the entire project, the first single, shot the video, and then the label will drop them. You know, so so there's moments like that. You know, you have to think pretty much any record you hear on the radio, you know, generally a person will spend a day or two, sometimes more, including a mix, working on something that just goes by your radio for 3 minutes. And so, you know, sometimes you know, there's been times, true story, like for instance, working a lot with Puffy or Diddy or whatever everyone refers to him as. You know, when we put 112 together, we had to work with Puff a lot, and so, but Puff was kind of person. This is how Puff is, and but he knows he just knows what he wants. You play a song for Puffy. It'll be 2 seconds into the intro. Go to the next one. He'll say, "Go to the next one." But you like, but dog, I go to the next one. You go to the next joint, 5 seconds, go to the next one. Oh yeah, I like that joint right there. Yeah, I'm feeling that. And then he'll listen to that joint. Like, so there's moments like that where you're saying to yourself, wow, we just spent all that time working on that record, excited to show him. He didn't even listen past the first 5 seconds. But it's one of those things that comes with the territory. So, you know, moments like that, there's lows like that. I can't really say this business, I've seen lows. I've seen a lot of cause and effect, whereas you do something, there's a consequence to what you do, but I wouldn't call that a low. I would call that's the result of a decision that I made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's just like anything else. It you know, because you definitely have people that say, man, this business is, you know, it's a cutthroat business, it's rough, this business is whatever you believe it is, period. Whether you believe it's a messed up business, there's a lot of fake people, guess what? You're right. If you believe, you know what, this is a prosperous business, I can make a living, I can support my family, support my lifestyle, you're also right. So it just depends. It goes back to the mindset. And so, yeah, that's what I would say to that.
You know, for a lot of the artists that you discovered, you know, you brought up 112 right away, from Club 112 to a lot of the other journeys, and you know, what is some of the it factors or signatures that you're looking for, so that you're like, nope, that's him, that's her, that's gonna make a difference, that's gonna be timeless.
You know what? It's one of those things you can't necessarily say it's a specific thing other than that person is special. There's something very singular about that person that makes them a one of one. Um, Other than that, you know, because there's people that can sing just as good as Beyonce. There's people that can dance just as good as Beyonce, but they're not a Beyonce. And it's one of those things you actually can't teach. You can nurture it, but you can't necessarily teach it. You can facilitate it, but you can't necessarily teach that particular thing. Um, you can definitely, you know, bring people along the way and coach them to greatness, because we all need coaches, mentors, however you want to, you know, classify it. So there's definitely endless possibilities for any artist out there if they're willing to put in the work and that they have that belief in themselves. It doesn't matter. Everything else actually doesn't matter, period. So that's really it. And that's just my belief, man. And so this is my, you know, this is how I see that. So, but I would say just, you know, it's what L.A. Reid said to us years ago. He just said, man, I just want to work with stars. I just want to work with stars. And he would always say that to us because he was a big mentor for us early on. And that's one of the one things he would always say to us, just work with stars, just work with stars. And so and that's his way of saying what I was just saying. It's that one thing you almost can't really point it out. Okay, that's it right there. It's just a thing, you know.
But you know, there's something else that you know, L.A. Reid said is so important, that that person has to recognize they're a star, that they're shining that bright. You know, it's so
Absolutely.
important that you recognize your gift. A lot of people get flustered in the foggy mirrors of what's real and what they're trying to come to. And you know, it's a blessing that there's people like you that come along the way and help guide them, and you know, their careers, you know, exponentially grow.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And the amazing thing is I'm still a student. You know, I'm still learning. You know, when I look to guys like, you know, Teddy Riley and Babyface and Jimmy Jam and those guys who are friends of mine, but I still look to them like, wow, man, so how did you handle this and this and this and this and this? yeah, well, how I handled that was this and this. And so, so I still have mentors to this day. I still have people that I seek for advice and insight on things. And, and I'm coming on, you know, close to 30 years in the business. So, I think it's important to remain a student, and to keep going up, So yeah.
You brought up such an important common denominator, being a student. No matter how accomplished you are, you have to remain humble and hungry so that you can continue to grow, because if not,
Absolutely.
the feeling of complexity just hits you in the face.
Absolutely. Totally agree. Totally agree. That's why, um, I'm always, I try to always just remain teachable, even where I'm at in the game, to just still remain teachable. Because I think that's where true growth really comes in, is when you allow yourself to just simply be teachable. And I don't want to walk around thinking that I know everything, or be that person like every time someone says something to me, yeah, I know, yeah, I know, yeah, I know. And so yeah, I try to receive information and see how I can apply it and
Yeah,
pass that information on.
never block your blessing. Sometimes it's information being received that you may know, and then the stuff in between is like, oh, that makes sense of something else I was thinking about years ago, or last week, or last night, or 10 minutes ago.
Right, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
you brought up some of the greats: Teddy Riley, Babyface, L.A. Reid, Terry Lewis, Jimmy Jam. What's one impression you can give from your mentors that you could leave with the viewers today, that that they could take with them? I know you actually gave me one of L.A. Reid. Can I get one more?
Once something that because I remember one time, me and Tim were we were really frustrated about a deal we were doing at the time. And at that particular time, we happened to be working at the record plant, and Jimmy Jam was working in the room next door to us. He was working with Janet. And so we were asking, man, how did we handle this, man? We feel like we didn't earn, the ability to have this deal set up like this. And he just let us know, like, man, we still go through, and this is the guys that inspired, there wouldn't be there wouldn't have been a Tim and Bob without a Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. We literally modeled ourselves after Jam and Lewis. And so for Jam to be sitting there telling us, hey man, we still go through the same thing. He said, but you know what? The whole object is just get back up to the batting. Just get back up to the plate, the bat. He said you might hit a home run, you might hit a double, you might hit a triple, or you might strike out. He said, but the key is to get back up there and bat again. Just just get back up. And when he broke that down to us, man, I know for me that was life changing. I still take that conversation with me. I apply that to my life as opposed to just music. And so that was some wisdom from Jimmy Jam.
Yeah,
Uh,
bro. That's resonates with me so much, because you think about it, at moments you could be in a home run derby, and sometimes you gotta wait 9 other people to go up there before it's your shot again. But because you have done so much, your resume puts you back up there so that you get to still swing.
yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, so shout
Wow.
out to Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, all of those guys that inspired me and inspired that Tim and Bob sound. Teddy, Babyface, uh, of course, guys like Devontae from
Mm,
Jodeci.
that,
All these guys, had a huge influence on us creatively. And, Jay Dilla, of course. And the list goes on, man. And so, but yes, very, very grateful for all those guys for paving the way and and keeping me inspired, man. And I just try to, you know, I just try to hope I can do the same thing, pass that same energy, that same uh, information on to the next generation. And so yes, that's how I try to go forward and you know.
So you brought up Devontae. I gotta ask, how close were you guys being a part of Swing Mob?
Actually, we weren't involved with Swing Mob, but you know, his music was such an influence on us. You would have thought we was in Swing Mob. Like Bobby V's first album, pretty much every ballad on that album that we did, because we did about 5 or 6 ballads on that album, you know, because we did pretty much the whole album except for 1 or 2 songs. But there's about 5 or 6 ballads. Pretty much every ballad we thought of Devontae, like, how would Devontae do this? You know, and so yeah, shout out to Devontae, man. Huge influence on our records through the years, man. And yes, one of the greats, one of the GOATs for sure.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man.
No, one of my mentors is someone that works closely with him, Rome's Empire, and so when that came up, I was like, oh, I
Okay.
gotta ask,
Oh, nice. That's dope. Dope.
So Bob, from the panels that you've spoken on, I gotta ask, what is your goal when you approach it, and what is the goal after you leave from the speaking engagements?
Well, I would say it's really to just inspire, man, and hopefully shed light on some things that will help a producer or writer connect some dots. You know, sometimes all it takes is just a little nudge from somebody, especially if it's someone that you have respect and admiration for. Like I said, like how guys like Teddy influenced our music, man, tremendously. I keep going back to Teddy because Teddy was like, to me, Teddy was like one of the first producers that made it cool to do slow records. Because all Teddy slow records would be knocking and they would be so dope. They would feel like up tempos. You know what I mean? So we always just little things like that. We always took with us, and so so yes, I just hope that I can pass information on to someone coming up behind me, and it helps them the way conversations with Teddy, conversations with Babyface, and those guys, how it helped us. And I could definitely speak for myself. It just helped me tremendously, and so I feel so blessed to even be able to chop it up with those guys, see them and become friends with these guys and continue to work with them. So yes, it's been wonderful, and I hope to pass that same energy along, and I try to do that as well with the younger generation of producers and writers and stuff. And so with the different writers and producers that I mentor from LA to Atlanta to the East Coast, and so I try to keep paying it forward.
So from being a OG from the game and giving influence to a lot of the youngsters, my question to you is, are you trying to learn Fruity Loops and all these little shortcuts and like voice box and arcade, or
You know what? Yeah,
what's some of your approach to what's going on today versus what the history and the quality of sound from then to now?
yeah, that's a good question because it's funny because, man, me and Tim, man, initially, like when Pro Tools first came out, we were anti Pro Tools because we was all analog guys, man. Like 2-inch tape. We didn't. It was. I think the only reason we started using Pro Tools because we got forced because it was a project we were doing, and that's all they were running in that studio was Pro Tools. So it's like, man. So anyway, but now, of course, I love keeping up with all the technology and stuff. And now that's why you have people can cut an album in their living room and it sound like they did it at the Hit Factory, because of technology. And it's interesting you mentioned Fruity Loops. I was in Atlanta visiting my son. This was around December. And I hit up Bobby V while I was there because I knew he was working on the record. So me and my son go over to Bobby V's crib and Bobby actually, and I used to use Fruity Loops back in the day, long time ago. I hadn't used it in over 10 years. But Bobby V was like, man, check out this track. And I'm like, man, who's producing these tracks? He's like, I am. I was like, really? Like, so Bobby's really, he's really into producing his own records now, which I'm so proud of him for. And so, but yeah, I was like, he played me some amazing stuff. And he was like, man, he said, cause and he's talking to me. He's like, man, I know you don't need this stuff, man. But for guys like me, man, it really helps us. And so I'm like, wow, it opens up, a whole realm of possibilities. So I think it's cool, man. And I think it's one of the things that will, continue to spark creativity with guys. And so I love actually checking out different sound packs. And I like Fruity Loops, even though I don't necessarily use the sequencer out of there. I still use it out of like, Ableton or Logic or the MPC. But I channel a lot of my samples through Fruity Loops. And so I enjoy it. Yeah, I enjoy it.
So are you a fan of the arcade, or are you still into the classic? I gotta have, a female or a male, hit those voice notes for certain, chants for beats that's necessary.
I'll be honest, that's something I haven't really gotten a whole lot into, but I like it though, because I'm always getting some gear, or like it's funny because it's a bass that I'm thinking about picking up today. I was looking at last night. And so I had to sleep on it because it's super expensive. I just got to make sure I want to make that commitment. But so I'm always like getting gear, man. And so I haven't really gotten into arcade, but I like some things that I have seen from it. But I will definitely continue to check. And there's so much stuff that comes out, like Native Instruments alone. They put out so much stuff, man. It's almost overwhelming. The amount of software that they put out, it's incredible, man. So if a person isn't creative these days, maybe it isn't meant for them to do music, because there's essentially no use to not be able to find creativity in something, even in your own life, just your own daily experiences, let alone all the sounds that's available and samples and all that stuff. So yeah, man, all you got to do is just tap in.
You brought up a very important word, investment. And so my question to you, my brother, is who was the first person to invest into you? Was it your parents? Was it a brother, to really help that, initial transformation from church to, now you're doing your own production?
Well, I have to say it was my mother, and the thing that she did when I was a child. Very simple what she did. She just turned on the radio. And what I mean by that is, because where we lived and where I grew up, small town in the Midwest, Peoria, Illinois. Peoria, Illinois is a couple hours south of Chicago. There was no R&B radio there. There was only pop, top 40 radio, like Casey Kasem top 40 radio. But the beautiful thing about that is I grew up listening to the Beatles, the Carpenters, Chicago, Kenny Loggins, like all these pop, rock bands from the 70s, and all this wealth of music that still is some of the most popular music being played today on the radio, still 30, 40 years later. So yeah, man, it started there with my mom when I probably was 2 or 3 years old. She just turned on the radio, because in my house, my father is like to this day, my father's a pastor of a church. So we grew up in a house that there wasn't no secular music played in the house. But whenever I was with my mom, she always had the radio on. So I'm hearing all these timeless, iconic pop songs every day that still are some of my favorite songs to this day. And so from Carole King and, man, I can go on and on, man, on that alone. Joni Mitchell, so all this amazing music that I grew up on. And it's interesting because having a talk with Jimmy Jam about this, it's the same music that Jam grew up on. And so, he was in the Midwest too, but he was in the northern part of the Midwest, Minnesota. And so that's why I think a lot of pretty much all their music resonates with me so much, because we come from the same place, essentially. So yes, that simple thing my mom did, that was all the investment she needed to make.
No, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And
Yeah, because you have to think, I downloaded all this information I'm downloading. You're just downloading information. So now if I'm sitting down working with, a pop group or a pop artist, I can just, get inspiration from those songs 30 years ago that are still on the radio, 40 years ago, songs that are still on the radio to this day. It comes back from that era.
no,
So yeah,
see, what you had, brother, you had YouTube in your mind before YouTube was created for the world. You was able to take something, use your ability to understand and fast track your way to okay, I know that this sound, this synth was in here. They were playing the drums like this. They were really riding this hi hat. You were really dissecting it back then
yeah,
versus
the,
what's
yeah,
that
and the
now?
types of melodies and the types of cadences in their voices, you know, um, those, man, I could go on, like I said, I can go on and on about that. So that was all the investment I needed from them. And, I took it from there.
Now, my brother, you're legendary without me having to say it over and over again. But, making some of the
Thank you.
biggest hits and acclimating over 300 million records sold, you inspire me to be great. You inspire everyone to be great. And so my question is how much of your job is preparation and rehearsing for the work you have to put in during your career?
Yeah, I think that's where all the work is like the downtime, so to speak. So that's where the homework is done. Um, I listen to music. I won't say that I listen to music all day, but pretty much I listen to music very frequently throughout the day. But I'm listening to different eras. I'm listening to different genres. You know, I might be listening to Count Basie for 2 or 3 days straight, and then from there I'll be listening to Led Zeppelin for a week, and then from there I'll be listening to Slum Village
Mm.
and Tribe. You see, so because it's all information that I'm taking in that I may need to access later, but
Mm.
it's different vibes that I'm taking in, like on a subconscious level. And so, and I just love exploring music that, especially that I'm not familiar with. So, so yes, it's just so right now, obviously, everyone's had a lot more downtime than they usually have, and so I've been using this time to do a lot of listening, just studying. I haven't actually been doing much music over the past couple months because I've been listening, you know, um, studying, being a student, continuing to be a student, and so yeah, that's important, very important.
As an A&R myself, a lot of my job is having the right timing and right vibe so that when something gets submitted and everything works itself out, the biggest elements are the timing and the vibe. And what's amazing that you're a student of the vibe so that you're ready for the timing, the preparation, the rehearsal.
Mm. Yes, sir. Like my father always tells me, um, perfect practice makes perfect. Not practice make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. So, prepare to be prepared. You know what I mean? So,
See, I say
yeah.
something else like that. And, honestly, I don't know where I got it from, but, we can't be perfect people, but we can have perfect actions. And,
Ooh, go.
we got to keep on striving for the perfect action. That's how you be great.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Totally agree.
You bringing
Oh,
greatness out of me, and I'm striving to continue to take the greatness out of you. I
mm,
am going to let you know about the show. The common denominator of my show is success. There are a lot of people from poverty-stricken neighborhoods with limited resources, and the opportunity to make their passion, gift, and dreams come true are limited. And so, for some people, they make it right away. Other people work it until it happens. And then you have a lot of people who are just afraid of success because they don't know taking a leap of faith and going to somewhere to do it will make a bridge to their capability. And so I just wanted to let you know that you hit every box when it comes to this. And I just definitely wanted to share the common denominator of this show, and why I'm greatly rewarded to have you on here.
wow, that's wonderful, man. And congratulations to you and what you're doing with your platform. That's wonderful. You're moving, music culture forward, using using your platform to move humanity forward. And I think that's wonderful, man. And I think the universe smiles on things like that. And so you know, props to you for doing that, man, and best wishes to you on all your endeavors and what you and your partners are doing. It's dope stuff, man.
Now, Bob, we're not done yet. I'm just putting a pause on the music, and I got to make sure I give you your flowers for being a dedicated father and, working in the industry. That is definitely a challenge. And I definitely just got to give you some roses and some admiration because as a father myself, it's a challenge. And, one thing that kids need to know is, or parents, I should say, because kids know it, they don't spell love Money, they spell it Time.
Hmm. Yes, that's so true. And yes, my daughter, I have a son. My son Dylan is 21, and my daughter Trinity is 19. My daughter Trinity is about to switch schools. She's about to go to college in North Carolina. So she's going to be moving in a few weeks. I'm going to, be moving her to North Carolina, whatever. And so this is a new chapter in her life, and it's a new chapter in my life as well too, because as a parent, um, you have this thing where you feel the need to protect, and sometimes within that, with protecting, is you feel the need to try to control things. But so now, you know, I'm at that point where I have to let go
Mhm.
and just trust that what I've done and what her mother has done up to this point will continue to stay with her, and she will continue to make informed decisions about life, about her daily walk, about how she, presents herself, and how she represents herself. And I have the ultimate confidence in her and in my son as well. So I'm super proud of both of them. So yes, I appreciate you mentioning the parenting thing because that's huge, man. It's huge to me, and I have admiration for men who are present in their kids' lives, and and not just on the surface, or when it looks cool in pictures in Instagram, but you're actually present and involved in your children's life. And so, and even though my kids are essentially both grown now, I think now is the most critical time for me to be available for them and to be there for them. And so yes, it'll definitely will continue to be challenges as a father, and I'm still learning so much that I have to learn as a father. But I'm very proud of them, and I'm very honored to be their father. So yes, and I appreciate you mentioning that too as well.
Thank you for the testimony. My son is 5 and my daughter is 3, and you gave me a ton of insight to the future because I'm gonna be in that same boat here in the future because my kids are 2 years apart as well.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Congratulations to you as well, fellow father.
Yeah, dedicated dad.
Yes, and by that, by default, I have admiration for you, man, and I appreciate you doing as you should be doing, man. That's one, because too often, we see, and I think that's a lot of what's going on in this world, especially in this country these days. Like for instance, I was reading this morning how 15 people in Chicago get shot at a funeral, like unbelievable. And so, but I think things like that, it all goes back to the home. How a father, a lot of times a father not being present in the home leads to a lot of behavior that ends up and culminates to that right there.
Yeah.
And so,
No, I've been a victim of the streets. I lost my father at 4, and
mm,
something I can attest to is that choices are everything. And
yeah,
you can definitely. I made the mistake of trying to live a double life in high school, trying to be active in the streets and straight A's in high school, and
mm,
it ended up getting me where I failed. I ended up getting arrested right before I went to college, and that perception always outweighs on what you're doing and the influence. And it's like I pride myself. I made it past my kid's 4th birthday. Like when my daughter turns 4, I'm gonna feel good again because that's longer than my father was in my life, and I know I get to have a better leadway. I get to say there's a pothole right there that will slow you down. All you got to do is steer to the right.
Yes, absolutely. I think, you know what, I think that's one of the keys to life, man, is especially, you know, in the context of raising your kids. And so, like my son, uh, him and his girlfriend, they have such a, a great relationship. They've been together 2 years. And so, but they're starting to experience things that, couples will experience. And that's jealousy from, people that you thought were friends, or, someone to be disrespectful to, his girlfriend behind his back, and vice versa, that kind of thing. And so I try to continuously give both of them insight on how to handle those things, and how to deal with those things. And yes, and I'm, like I said, I'm super proud of them. And you know, and it's so much harder, I think, for this generation in so many ways, man, because there's so many distractions.
Yes.
Um, so many distractions. So, but so I like I said, I'm proud of them, and I think they're gonna go on to set a wonderful example for people in relationships. And so, yes, I'm very proud. I'm actually learning from them. So, yes, I definitely try to, like what you were just saying about, experiencing some things, and then letting them know, okay, hey, I experienced that same thing, uh, and this is how I handled that. And so, so yes, wonderful.
Now, we already going towards it. I'm going into my awareness segment. And, my awareness segment is about police interaction. And I ask every guest of mine, when was the last time they were pulled over? And what's some advice they can give during the situation of getting pulled over and interacting with the police?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My so much noise in the background with the gardeners across the street. Can you repeat that again, please?
Yeah, no problem. Uh, this is my awareness segment, and I ask every guest of mine. We talk about police interaction, and I ask every guest when was the last time they were pulled over, and what's some advice they can give during the situation of getting pulled over and interacting with the police.
Mm. Last time I was pulled over was probably a few years ago. I was on my motorcycle, and I was on. I'm not sure how familiar you are with Los Angeles, but there's a highway that goes along the. I'm sorry.
I'm from LA.
Oh, my fault. I didn't even know. I didn't
It's
even
all
know.
good, brother.
Yeah, on PCH. I was on PCH, and I got pulled over. And they pulled me over because the way my motorcycle is made, my license plate was essentially hidden from the rear view. You couldn't really see my license plate the way the guy that built my motorcycle built it. And so, but the cop pulled me over, and I've learned through the years how to deal with cops when they pull you over, and that's just be compliant. I don't. If they pull me over, I don't go into, man, why you pulled me over, man? You pulled me over because I'm black and all this stuff. I don't even go into that. I'm just compliant with what they ask me. Do you know why I pulled you over? No, I don't know why. Where are you coming from? I'm just minding my own business, just driving, minding my own business. Oh yeah, I pulled you over because of your, your light isn't your license plate isn't visible. Oh, and he was actually right. Like, I actually had it modified on my bike, because he actually brought up a great point. And so, so yeah, like I actually get into a dialogue with cops when they pull me over, and most of the time it ends up not being a bad experience. And my ex-wife was Italian, and so I got pulled over all the time. A black guy and a white female. So sad to say, but hey, I'm used to dealing with that. So and I have these conversations with my son all the time. Dylan, if you get pulled over, you actually don't even have to say a thing. If you're uncomfortable, if you feel it unfairly, it can get dealt with later. Just don't even say a word. Let them arrest you, whatever. It'll get dealt with later. You don't have to escalate the situation, especially in these days and times. So um, just trying to teach him to be calm and to keep his composure, even if he knows without a shadow of a doubt that he's absolutely right, to just still keep your composure and be calm, and we'll deal with it later. And so that's what I would say to anyone experiencing that is just, just keep your composure and know that you'll have a chance to tell your side of the story later.
Thank you, brother, for your testimony and also the guidance in that situation. Because that's, that's the most vital thing is keeping your composure. Everyone gets the whole pride thing thrown in the air, and then everyone has to have a resilient answer. And the reality is you just got to get through the process as smoothly as you can. Check A,
Yeah.
check B, let me go on check C.
Yes, that's it.
Uh,
Yes.
my next segment is a thing called Trading Places. We went a little deep the last two times. Now I'm gonna have a little fun. And if you know the movie Trading Places, Dan Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy, they wake up and Mortimer's changed his life, and they switch to other, and life has changed.
One of my favorite movies.
Yes. So I take that concept and I turned it into a segment. And I take two iconic people and we swap it and we talk about it. And two people I have for you today is, the brother Teddy Riley is going to trade places with Paul McCartney. Question number one is, will it work?
I mean, it depends, like, in what context do you mean they're going to trade places?
They're gonna wake up and their lives have changed. I mean, they're now living that person's life. And do you think that would work? Can you see, Teddy Riley a part of the Beatles?
I mean, wow, I don't even know how to answer that one, but I don't know. I guess I'm sure they both are creative enough to make it work. So yeah, Teddy would know how to adjust to that. So I would say, yeah, it will work. Teddy's a very talented individual. He would have the ability to adjust to that creatively, and I think so would Paul McCartney be able to.
And you think Paul McCartney could have them same type of love and classic joints that on that same standard and level?
Yeah, because it all comes down to songwriting.
Mm.
Yeah, so yeah, I think he would adjust too, as well.
Give me one thing differently if they traded places.
I'm sorry.
Can you give me one thing that would be different if they traded places?
One thing that would be different if Teddy and
Paul McCartney traded places.
I mean, obviously everything would be different. The beats would be different, the melodies would be different, but hey, they traded places, so it would be expected. Yeah, of course, everything would be different. They essentially come from two different worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along to my next segment, I got Impulse Q&A, and these are questions that are like from a fan perspective. And the whole idea is to answer with your impulse. And if you don't like the question, it's all good. Just say pass. The idea is you got to answer 3 questions. And here we go. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Question number 1. If you were trapped in the woods for a day with a CD player, what album would you have playing to get you through?
The Eagles' greatest hits.
Okay. Would you have the whole CD, the whole album on repeat, or would you have a certain couple of songs that you would loop back and forth?
The whole album on repeat.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's the greatest hits. Duh.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is one place that you recommend everyone tries to travel at least once?
Paris.
What's your favorite part about Paris? Is it the water or the Eiffel Tower or the bread?
The food. Yeah, the food was absolutely amazing. And I would say, especially if you're from the States, it's interesting to travel there to see how people there don't really care about people from the States. So to make that adjustment culturally it was interesting, but I enjoyed it very much. For example, I didn't know that there in Paris they frown upon being tipped. So like I tipped the cab driver, after I left the airport, got to my hotel. He looked at what I gave him, pulled off. I'm like, man, I gave him a 20% tip. Maybe I didn't tip him enough. So I got to the concierge of my hotel. They was like, oh no, you don't need to tip here. It's kind of an insult to people sometimes when you tip them. I was like, oh, okay. Okay, no problem with that. So like, yeah, when you go to restaurants and stuff, they prefer you not tip them, and actually get upset when you do. It's the weirdest thing, and I experienced that, but that was my experience when I first went there. So
No, that blew my mind. Like, wow. I
yeah,
Someone's upset that I'm giving them more money for doing something that they didn't like, they took it above and beyond.
they look at it like you're pitying them. Yeah,
Crazy. Crazy.
yeah.
Question number 3. Give me the wildest song title you can think of and try and pitch it.
I don't know.
You could pass.
I'll pass on that one.
Question number 3. If you were a ghost, name 2 people you would haunt daily.
Pass on that one too.
What's your favorite food?
Salmon.
Mm. Blackened or grilled?
Both.
He said, I like it always.
Both. Yeah.
Wow. My brother, you have survived my awareness segment. You have survived my trading places segment, as well as my impulse Q&A. As a reward, let's promote. Let's talk about what you're excited on. What's something that you want people to check out. Let the viewers know.
I mean, honestly, there's a couple projects that I'm working on, but a lot of it was put on hold because of the pandemic going on and everything. And so, but there's a couple cool projects that are in the works, like Ron Isley from the Isley Brothers. That's one because he has a final album that he's doing, and so I'm honored that he asked me to be a part of that. And there's a couple other things like Iron Linux. That's a project that I was about to start right before the pandemic started. And, I was just waiting for her to return from Europe, and so, but it was literally right when the pandemic started. So that kind of got put on hold. Same thing with Tony Braxton. That's another artist that I want to work with that I haven't worked with. And so, but other than that, uh, yeah, I'll definitely be sending out information like as certain projects come more into fruition, and of course always looking for something inspiring, like whether it's an artist or whether it's a producer, that I want to try to help get more notoriety, whatever. So it just depends. So, but I always keep my hands in a bunch of different things inside the business, outside of the business. And so I just try to keep myself creative and keep myself busy.
Yes, sir. So one more question before I close out. What's the goal long term before you retire?
Great question. You know what? I guess the only goal for me is to just continue to be authentic and
Mm.
to continue to inspire my kids and to be a person that my kids can be proud of. And I know that, I've done my part and that they can get through life with the tools that I've helped them get, the tools that will assist them through life. If I would say I have a goal, that's what it would have to, it would involve my children. It wouldn't be a goal in music. Um, that's what I would say. It would be to continue to inspire my kids.
Well, I'm gonna put this on you anyways. I really pray that you and Tim get a Hollywood star and you guys get inducted to the Rock and Roll
Thank you.
Hall of Fame. Just we're gonna call a spade a spade.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for the support, man. And again, thank you for having me on here, man. I appreciate it. And I wish you the best in all of your endeavors and everything. And yes, man. And be safe, man. And continue to be safe and healthy.
Absolutely. Now you notice if the show is different, it's unique. You know, I have to do segments because they say I have to, and you know, I gotta close out with something that's of that same energy. And so my viewers knows it's coming. I'm about to hit you with it. You have any questions for me?
Um, let's see here. How long have you had your platform that you have now?
I literally started this December 2019. I started
Hey,
doing radio in college, like
okay.
2005, but officially taking off and being, getting somewhere. It's been since December 19th, 2019.
Okay. Wonderful. That's cool, man. So it's a kind of a new business endeavor for you.
Yeah,
Got it. Got it. Wonderful.
in the music industry, you try to find a way to either be a part of the tree, the branch, the root, some type of way to, help the grass grow and help the world and everything go. The oxygen is needed. And so, if the voice isn't there, you can't be doing this, you got to find another way. And, I managed my brother for a long time and I had all these relationships. And then I tried to get into radio and they told me no. Tried to join a podcast, they told me no. And, the blessing in disguise is I started my own and some people got
Hey,
behind me. And here we are.
hey, here we are. Congratulations to you, brother. That's
Thank
cool,
you.
man.
Thank
That's
you.
cool. Absolutely.
Uh,
I
I'm
will bless you to you, man. Thank you for
I'm
having me.
I'm just gonna close out, brother. Just and because I gotta close out, say the little stuff, and then
Absolutely.
ask you to do a drop, and then that is it for your time. I'm so humbled and honored to just be able to speak to you and go into so many different wide fun things.
Ah, man, it's my pleasure, man. I had a great time. Thank you.
Man, it's Contrast Uncut. It's season 3, episode 45. Big shout outs to Uncle Snoop's Army and Bobby D Presents. I wouldn't be able to do incredibly dope stuff like interview Bobby Robinson and talk about some of the greatest elements of timeless music. You know, that's an incredible honor just to be here. Cut, because you already said your part. Boom. The last thing is just a drop. If you could just say your name, introduce yourself, and say you're tuned in to Contrast Uncut. And if you want to give love to Snoop or Bobby D, Bobby D's his agent. Now is the time.
What Crash? Let me make sure I pronounce it right. Crash.
Oh,
What's it?
contrast.
Contrast Uncut.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Bobby D is his name.
Yes, sir. D as in dog.
Okay. Yo, what's up? It's your boy, record producer Bob Robinson, and you're. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? You said. Give me the again.
You tuned in to Contrast Uncut.
Contrast Uncut. Yo, what's up? It's your boy Robert. Hey, here we go one more time. Yo, what's up? It's your boy, record producer Bob Robinson, and you're tuned in to Comcast. Man, stupid Gardner in the back here, man. I almost need to write this down.
Contrast.
Contrast Uncut.
Yeah, my sister, she pretty much raised me, and she's half black, half Mexican, and I was cultured. So notice I'm white, but I grew up in the culture, so that's the contrast.
Okay. Contrast Uncut. Okay, here we go. What's up? It's your boy, producer Bob Robinson. You're tuned in to Contrast Uncut. Shout out to Snoop and Bobby D. Yo.
It is a wrap. Thank you, brother. Thank you. I can't say that enough, man. One thing you did say in there, I represent my friend. He's a producer. He had that song "Sleepwalking" that was in the movie Black Panther at the end of the movie.
Oh, nice.
His name's JP Bangs. That was a Mozzie record, and we're working. I don't know if you do beat collabs or if you listen to stuff and add to it or whatever, but when you said that, I felt like you was talking to me, not knowing you was talking to me.
I'm down to check it out.
Yes,
down to check it out for sure.
Okay. Man, close mouths.
Yeah, you can just send me whatever you want me to check out.
Okay. Thank you. Absolutely. And boom.
No problem.
My brother Blessings.
I gave you my cell too while we're at it. If you want to take my cell down.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, wait a minute. You just called my cell, right?
Call me.
Oh, I called you. I called you, right? Okay, cool.
Sir.
Yeah, so that's my cell. All right, cool. Yeah, so you can just send it to me.
Okay, I'll email some melodies to you and stuff, and we'll go from there if you like anything, or if you don't. I definitely don't want to waste any time of yours. So
It's all good. You. All right, brother. Have a blessed rest of your week, man.
Yes, sir. You do as well.
All right, sir.